So this is going to go ahead and bring us to our first list. I call this list allies because you really just pull in on the power of all the other armies or all the other coalition allies. So the first thing in this list is a Nomad Prince General. I gave him the Dietmar Cloak and the Iron Oak Artisan. So that's going to give him a 2-up save, and you can't shoot at him when he's in cover. I also gave him a General's Adjutant. This is going to be a Battle Mage of Gur, so you're going to get an additional +1 to cast. And I gave him the spell Iron Oak Skin. So what he's going to do is try to cast Iron Oak Skin on a unit of Eternal Guard and keep them from being killed. In this list, we also have a Spirit of Durthu. Now, the Spirit of Durthu is a really good unit to pop on the board and try to make that 9-inch charge. If it does make that 9-inch charge, it does quite a bit of damage. And I gave him the Spear of the Hunt. So what the Spear of the Hunt is going to do for us is it's going to make that Guardian Sword that's already 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage 6. It's going to make it to Ren 3. So that Ren 3 will really help you get through a lot of the armor stacking stuff. And it's still damage, full damage 6 until it gets bracketed. So it's a nice little combo. I also have a unit of Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows. These guys have a huge range, and you can just start with them off the board and bring them on to shoot at whatever they need to do. And this is a reinforced unit. All this combines into a Warlord Battalion, which is what's allowing me to get a second artifact. And also we'll be able to get another CP throughout the game as well. It's probably going to be used on a reroll of a charge or something along those lines. This brings us to our Expert Conquerors Battalion. So I've got 2 units. They are Eternal Guard that are reinforced. Now, Eternal Guard are great. They're a tough little unit. They have a 3-up armor save. It's a nice little armor save for cities. And they also have 2 attacks apiece. Now, Eternal Guard base, they only have a 4-up armor save. But when they have not moved this turn, they get a +1 of their armor save. So it effectively puts them at a 3-up. They also have 2 attacks at 3s and 4s. And again, if they haven't moved, you add +1 to the hit and to the wound of these guys. So now they're on 2s and 3s. They don't have Ren, but they do a really good job of getting rid of bigger units that you're kind of struggling to chew through with a lot of these other units in this army. Again, both of these are in Expert Conquerors. So the 20 blocks are counting as 60 each. You're allowed to basically spread out, take up as many points as you can, and hold them from your enemy. Finally, let's get into our last battalion. So the last battalion, I have a Celestant Prime and the Sisters of the Thorn. So I gave the Sisters of the Thorn Life Surge, so I have someone that's healing stuff up. And if you notice, my Celestant Prime over here has got a 4-up ward save, so that effectively adds a lot more wounds to the model. So he's going to be healing at the beginning of the turn. He's also got the Sisters of the Thorn following him around and being able to heal him up a bit. Same thing with the Durthu. They could also heal the Durthu as well. Now, I put both of these in a Vanguard. I don't think I'll actually really use the Vanguard ability very often, but I didn't have another good option for this. And I thought, hey, maybe I'll want a free auto 6 for my Sisters of the Thorn to complete a battle tactic or something along those lines. I didn't know exactly what it would be. Or let's say the Celestant Prime was in, I don't know, getting ready to charge and I don't want to use his auto charge. I could use the Vanguard charge instead. Now let's talk about the Celestant Prime a little more. I really like this model in this army because you can bring him on the board and then just guarantee his charge. Now, he stays up in the sky for his innate War Scroll ability, so he's not counted to this. Okay, so what starts on the board for this army? You're going to want to start with the Nomad Prince, the Battle Mage, and your unit of Eternal Guard that's going to be part of the Honored Retinue. That way the Nomad Prince can pass off wounds if somehow something gets into him. This allows you to start a unit of Eternal Guard off the board. If you would like to, you're not required to. Or the Sisters of the Thorn off the board. You will also be keeping the Spirit of the Durthu, the Vanguard Raptors, and the Celestant Prime off the board. So the Celestant Prime doesn't count towards your one-on-one off roll. The Celestant Prime's War Scroll is what allows him to start off the board. And you don't really want to bring him out till maybe the 3rd turn. So basically what you're doing here is you're going to, turn 1, you're just going to run some stuff forward, maybe even just a unit of Eternal Guard, or even both units of Eternal Guard. Keep your Nomad Prince nearby and your Battle Mage. But you're not going to give up a lot. You're going to barely toe the line. You just want to capture your 1-2, hold more, and allow your opponent to start coming at you and make it to where if he does get the double turn, he doesn't get much out of you. Now, at best case in this scenario, let's say he did get the double turn and you played poorly or you really had to go far up. Like say he kills your Nomad Prince, your Battle Mage, and your unit of Eternal Guard. Well, that's great. You still have everything else in this army, and that's the maximum amount of damage he should be able to do on a turn 2 double turn, right? Because everything else is off the board at this point in time. Oh, obviously maybe he'd kill the Sisters of the Thorn too. Okay, cool. But now you can keep everything else off the board, and now all of that stuff can come on, and you're playing a whole different game, and he's overextended at that point in time. Another thing of note is you want to keep these Vanguard Raptors just at the edge of wherever they want to be shooting at. And you can also keep a hero nearby, and that way they can shoot and backpedal again if they'd like to. And now a couple of these other units can shoot as well. The Sisters of the Thorn can shoot. The Spirit of Durthu can shoot. So use that to your ability. You know, if the Sisters of the Thorn, you want to get them in there just enough, or maybe you want to move them forward to screen something, and basically bait out a redeploy, and then you move your other stuff in. Well, the Sisters of the Thorn can then shoot and pull further away from that unit that they're trying to run. So the Sisters of the Thorn could then shoot and use the command ability to move away from everything. Now you do have to be careful with that. If they redeploy within 9, it will shut down that command ability. So that being said, I think this is a really strong list. And I think there's a lot of good hammers in this list. And a few things that can actually take a hit, like specifically these Eternal Guard. Now you're still going to struggle with certain things. You know, all dragons is still tough to deal with. But I think you've got a lot of the right pieces to fight something like that. All right, so list 2 is kind of a little bit of a more fun list. And I wanted to kind of hone in on more of the actual human side of things. So if you notice, we've got a Battle Mage on Griffin. And of course, it's Master of Magic. I gave him Iron Oak Skin for a 4-up save as opposed to a 5-up. The Soaring Guardian, so he comes back on a 2+. Duralia Van Dens is great because she can shoot things and do a decent amount of damage. And then I also have a Free Guild General here to help out with the 3 units of Free Guild Crossbowmen and a unit of Flagellants. So all that stuff on the left-hand side is going to be in a Warlord again, so we're going heavier drops. I also have 3 units in Expert Conquerors because guess what? They don't do that well in Bounty Hunters, but it's 20-man units of Crossbowmen. These guys only have a 6-up save. You can leave them off the board, bring them on, and they can shoot, and they're getting their double shots, which is fantastic. You've also got 3 units of Demigryph Knights in Bounty Hunters. And they're not amazing, but they'll do a decent amount of damage, especially with Bounty Hunters. They're going to be punching above their weight class. And finally, you do have Inspired to help, you know, on 1 unit on the charge. Whenever you want to use that clutch spot, they'll be able to do a little extra damage. Now, as of note, the Free Guild General has to use his command ability at the start of the hero phase, and it's going to give a bonus to 3 human units nearby. So it's kind of not as good to leave a Free Guild Crossbowman off the board in this scenario, but leaving 1, maybe even 2 off the board could give you a lot of different options as well. Oh, I apologize. I also missed my Anointed on Frostheart Phoenix. So this thing's going to be in the middle of the field. You're going to have Arcane Tome on it, Life Surge, so he can heal himself up. And basically what you want this guy to do is kind of absorb charges, posture in places. He's got great move. He can get around the battlefield very easily. He's looking like a 16-inch move base. And when he casts a spell, he's going to add 1 to his save. So he's going to have a 3-up armor save and a 4-up ward save. Really hard to deal with. And this basically, you kind of want to play a little cagey. Now, another way that I like to play this list, instead of running everything as a Warlord and Expert Conquerors and Bounty Hunters, you could do this as a 2-drop, or you might even be able to flesh it out, switch some stuff around and bring it down to a 1-drop. What that allows you to do when you get down to the 1-drop or a 2-drop, let's say you now control the game pace, right? When you're controlling that game pace and you decide who goes first, you let the enemy go first, right? Then on your turn, you're going to bring your crossbowmen on at a good spot where they're within range and they can hit everything. Also nearby to your general. So you bring your crossbowmen and your general all at the same spot. Now what happens? If I get the double turn, I'm going to use my command ability from my Free Guild General. They're all going to get to shoot at +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And it's going to do a ton of damage with that double back-to-back shot. Now, that being said, if you did do something like this, you're going to make sure, we're going to want to make sure that you're screening out with your Demigryph Knights. So I do think overall, this is another very strong list. I also kind of like to lean towards a 1-drop or a 2-drop in this scenario. And I think it's got its variants or, its bonuses either way you want to do it. Okay, one last portion for this video. I kind of wanted to go over how exactly you wanted to play this list. Now, if you're playing with really heavy drops, I got something I want you to try out. You're going to take 1. Keep as much stuff as you can off the board, because they're probably going to give it to you, right? Play very slow and deliberate. Only put your models where you need to capture points, and just kind of keep stuff back, all right? Make sure you're staying in a position where you can get doubled very easily and you're not worried about getting doubled. That, when you go into the turn 2 roll-off, what you do is you give them the double, and then that'll allow you to kind of control the game. Once you give them the double and they can't really capture very much off of it, if most of your models are off the board, at the bottom of 2, you're going to drop a lot of your hammers onto the board, and a lot of stuff that's going to do damage. That way, if you do get the double turn, you're going to be able to really capitalize on it. You might want to hang that Celestin Prime out till turn 3, unless there's something you really want him to tie up, then, maybe bring him on 2. But if you play this way and force them into going twice in a row there in a situation where they don't want the double turn, it gives you back control of the game. Hey guys, thanks for staying around to the end of the video. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you just want to say hi, please drop it down below. If you have anything else you want me to add or do better, please feel free to comment. Have a great day, and thank you again for watching.